applause for me.
Hi, everybody. I was not expecting so many people, so I would like to start with a simple question, and I will point you. And I would like to know why you came here today, what exactly want to learn. I hope I can give you some tips that helped me throughout my career. I'm not an expert at all, so I'm just gonna give my personal opinion on like how it's growth, how I see growth for me in like the startup scene in Berlin. So, for example, you in the blue, why are you here today? So why you actually decided to come? Sorry.
Yeah, because I'm starting a project along with other developers, and I would like to. So we are in this phase of very early stage, and I'm interested in general about growth.
Cool. Somebody else wants to volunteer and tell why they're here today, or I'm pointing more people? I have no issue in pointing people. All right, you behind in the green? Yeah.
I work in health and development at Samach, so
Okay.
I'm naturally very interested in the topic of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Would really love to learn about your perspective on personal and professional growth, and also support Max while he's presenting here.
That always works. Cool. And the last question, I'm not gonna bother. So somewhere there, the girl. Okay. You have a volunteer. Yeah, sure.
I've been a one-man business for a while and finally started to hire,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty good.
Cool. Cool. Then if nobody else, I'm just gonna start, or like they're gonna kick me out. All right. So I will start like presenting who I am and like why I'm here. So I came to Berlin like about 8 years ago, more or less. So when I came, Berlin was not the tech capital that it was today, and I landed here for like not startup or tech reasons at all. So my background is quite different. So I come from like an artistic media type of background, right? So you would say, okay, how you end up here? It was kind of a coincidence. So I came, I finalized my studies here, and then I had to look for a job because I didn't want to go back home. So literally in a bar, they were telling me about all of these like tech startup thing and all of these new companies that they were rising up in Berlin, and that I was sure I would find a job doing customer care or something, also because I spoke English, a bit of German and Spanish. So literally, I met a guy and said, yeah, there is this company, they are hiring a lot of people and they are looking for somebody in the back office. And I was like, all right, yeah, sure. That company turned out to be Delivery Hero. So when I arrived, the company was pretty small, right? So I ended up there. And from there, this is how I end up here today. So today I'm gonna talk more on like personal and professional growth, right? From my perspective, and how like startups can help you grow way more quickly than it would do in a corporation. And to take advantage of like what the startups give to you, and how to actually keep yourself mentally sane with like the stress and like the craziness that the startup comes with, and like crazy founders and crazy investors pushing. So how actually I end up now more sane than I was 3 years ago. So a simple question, what growth means, right? So for me, growth personally means that like I have my long-term goals, and I want to achieve everything every quarter or every year in order to reach what for me is like my end-up goal on growing into maybe being my own founder, right? But it was interesting what I did. I actually look at the definition of growth, and as you know, you put something on Google and it turns out to like show very pretty funny stuff. So yeah, the process of increasing in size. So obviously if we speak to that in like a startup, it's like the more you grow, the more people you will have to hire, the more processes you will have to do, and the more leads you will have to have, the more sales you will have to have, the more. So the more do you raise money, and the more you go public, and that's like the end goal of every company and scaling so fast, right? So obviously, the key attribute of every startup is its ability to grow, because you can have a really great idea, you can have a really good team, but if you cannot grow and you cannot sustain in the market, then your idea is not that good, or something you did. I also saw some ideas that they were not that good in the beginning, but for some reason they did really good, they grow very sustainable, and they're still alive and they're still in the market, right? Then another one that I actually went and said like, okay, let me check actually what Google tells me what a startup is. So And startup is an action of process of setting something in motion or a newly established business, right? Again, a startup is not a startup if there is no growth and if there is no scalability and if there is no processes that will help you reach a point faster, because obviously you need money and you ask money to some people and people will give you this money, so people will ask you for more stuff every quarter and you are always rushing and not doing maybe the best decisions, right? So here it comes what I want to talk about to you today, that is like, how do you manage personal and professional growth while working in a startup? So it's quite chaotic, right? Because you want to like make the right decisions and you want to like actually have a clear career path and like a long-term goal that you want to achieve, but sometimes you get thrown into these like kind of like messy turbulence type of companies and then you kind of lose your end-up goal. So this is what I'm going to talk today. And I'm going to talk about my experience of what I've been through these 8 years. So I started at Delivery Hero, as I said, right? And as I said, Delivery Hero in 2012, that's when I started. They just reached the Series C. So they had a lot of money. So at that stage, when I joined and they throw me in that department, they were like, we just need processes. And I was like, what do you mean you just need processes? Yeah, we use Salesforce and just figure it out, make a sales manual, a playbook. We need process for lead generation. Again, I came from a completely different background. I really thought I was gonna go into a customer care role and like taking up calls. That was not what happened. Obviously, I didn't have like a person that give me a really good onboarding either, so I had to like figure it out myself. The good thing that Delivery Hero did is that they actually put me in some like Salesforce trainings and like some sales training so I could learn more, right? So while I was there for 3 years. I had 3 different roles. I started as a sales operation assistant. That was my official title. Then I grew into like sales operations team lead. And then my last position there was like I was leading the account management team, right? So I saw everything that happened. So I went through 2 funding rounds when I was there. And it changed a lot, right? And management changed a lot. So what I did there, I was not really sure if I really liked that and I really enjoy it and if I was good at, so I took advantage a lot of the situation and that the management was changing all the time. So every time I had a manager coming new, I was like, hey, I've been here for a while and I did this. Can you give me a raise and a promotion? This is how I went through. Because again, when a startup is at that phase, they just want growth and they just want results, right? So if somebody is bringing them the results right away, which I was doing, they gave me everything I wanted. So every time I went there and I said, hey, you're not paying me enough and I'm like dealing with this, I'm working 60 hours a week, I just want a raise, they gave it to me. So this is what I did. I really took advantage of this growth and like craziness and like, yeah, we have to rush and we have to like deliver. What happened? There was a time that I was like, I don't know if I like this. I never really had time to really consider if that's what I want to do. I knew I was doing big impact, but I was not really sure if I wanted to do specifically this job. And I saw other people in my network that they were doing marketing and like something PR and communications and things that they were more creative. And I was just like staring at Excel files and Salesforce processes and like going to meetings every day. I was like, I think I want to do something more creative. So I quit. And also I moved to Munich as well. That's also one reason why I quit. And I joined Tado. I don't know if like any of you know Tado, but Tado is like a fintech company and they like built this smart thermostat. It's the competition for Nest in the US, and they recently got, not directly bought, but they got into a big partnership with like Amazon because they want to compete with Nest, and they actually did a really great integration with Tado and Alexa. So you can control your heater from Alexa. That's what Tado does. So I joined there, a startup again, and they just reached the Series D of funding round. And my job was a business development manager, even though they told me I was going to do marketing, and that's why I joined, because as I said, I really wanted to do marketing and something more creative. But it was not what I thought. So I was like, I'm literally doing sales, but talking to journalists. So I don't know. And you always earn less money if you go into this type of like sector, right? So I was like, I don't know. So I was not really good also at this marketing and like communications and PR thing. And my impact was not really, really big because the company was growing really, really slow. They had a lot of money. They had a lot of private money. So they didn't have the right. So I came from something that was like really stressful, all the time demanding, and all the time growing, and results every other week. And here I was like, nothing was happening. So I was like, oh, man, now I don't know what to do. What shall I go back to Delivery Hero because it was the easy? What I do now. So I did another move. And I went to Foodpanda, which later bought by Delivery Hero. That was very smart of me. I never saw that coming. So I went to Foodpanda in 2015. So as you see, within the same year, I did a quite fast move. And I was like, yeah, I like the food stuff more than this thermostat. But I don't want to go to Delivery Hero again, because I always felt like, I'll go back and it'll be like, I left, right? Like, oh, you guys need to sort your things and you cannot have employees working this way. So I'm gonna be like, I cannot go back now. So I went to Foodpanda, it was great, right? So I got a really nice title. So I got a global sales operations title. It was great, they had money, and it was also rocket internet, right? So it was intense. It was very, very, very intense. So they just threw me there in a team. I had no managers, and they put me like in a more technical role, which I learned a lot as well. And it was super operational, and I also was like responsible for 5 countries in Asia, because as you know, Foodpanda got bought by Delivery Hero because they were only operating in Asia. So I really like that because I work with cultures I never worked before, so I learned a lot, and it was super intense, and I got completely burned out after like less than a year. So I was like, all right, what I'm doing with my life now, like I've been to like 3 startups. They all seem pretty successful because after I left, they all got like very big deals. So I was like, I'm always living at the right moment, you know, like when the startup gets successful. So I actually was looking around and I was like, I really need to like see what I want to do, because I'm good at something, right? I already know, that's why I get hired for these positions. But I don't know, it's something with the company and something with the stage of the startup that I'm not comfortable with. And I was trying to figure it out. Okay, maybe I need to go to a corporation. That's what I need, right? So this is what I did. And I went to Wayfair. They reached out to me, and they offered me a pretty nice offer that was really difficult to decline. And it was everything completely different than the rest before. First, obviously, like in all the 3 startups I worked, technology was like the first thing, product was like key. There, I was like shocked, you know, I was like, how you actually use Excel for everything, or Google Docs. They didn't have CRMs. So it was pretty like a back, like, okay, yeah, what is this? It was nice, because of course I came with this like rocket internet and like Delivery Hero approach of like, this needs to be done. They gave me a pretty big team as well, and they wanted me to increase productivity, so I did, obviously, because I came from 3 startups, so I increased productivity by a lot on my first year there, and it was great, but it was very boring. Because projects took forever, and I didn't see, so my impact was really, really little. And one thing I really didn't like is like there was a lot of office politics, right? So in a corporation, what I realized is like everything was about politics, and I'm very bad about politics, maybe because I'm Mediterranean, and like they don't teach us that at school, or my family didn't teach me that, at least. So I was not really good at like this all politics, so I was more good at delivering and like growing teams, right? So I was like, all right, here it is. I need to figure out which type of company I'm the fit, right? And I decided to take a year off to build my own startup, which it didn't work at all. I always thought all of these guys like trying to build their own thing, you know, and like getting money. Like there is a lot of money in Berlin. I can also get the money, you know. Like I was like, this is very easy. I always had in my mind, you just go there, you know, with your business plan and just knock the door. Hey, yeah, this is my great idea. Invest on me. Terrible. It didn't work. My business plan was terrible. My financial plan was even worse. So my idea was okay. That's the feedback I got. But they were like, no. I didn't even have well, I had one co-founder that left after 2 months, so it was pretty bad too for me to keeping that. So it was pretty disappointing. That's okay. I learned a lot, so I was like, I'm definitely not ready to start my own thing. I was one woman alone trying to like build that and trying to face a really male-dominated sector. So I went to a lot of I did a really good networking on like VCs and trying to see, okay, which people are like the right ones to give me money for what I want to do. But I realized that like I was speaking with a bunch of men all the time. I also felt like quite like alone on all of this, and I decided that I needed like more time to be more stronger to actually go through that, especially when you are alone, because you are working alone on your project on a daily basis and can be very frustrating. And I didn't have like all the skills yet to actually do that on my own, right? So I was like, okay. So I started to look for a job. It took me a while because I was very picky. I was like, I would just want something like that is small. I knew that it was pretty small, and that I liked the team and the product. So this is something that I never really considered before. Before it was like more, oh yeah, they give me this money, they give me this title, the company has this funding, it's not gonna die. So I'm just gonna go and do that, right? And for the first time I was like, okay, I need to like trust the people I'm gonna work for, like the people in the team, and like believe in the product. So this is what I did. And I was like, and actually I never really been in a startup that is like really, really early stage. And this is what I lacked myself when I was trying to build my own thing, that I lacked the beginning, right? So I always end up in startups that they have money, so they were quite comfortable, but everything was kind of like already on track, right? So we just need to maintain and grow to scale. So I needed more the ground bites, and this is where I end up at Morressier, which is a seed startup. So actually, I don't have all the experience on all the serious funds, but I can say I saw several stages, and now definitely I'm seeing the most like non-stage, like there is nothing and you have to build it, which is good because I thought it was gonna be very easy. I was like, yeah, this is, with all my experience now I can do that, no problem. But it's like also a very hands-on team, right? So I didn't do that for such a long time because I've been also managing teams for a while now, for like 5 or 6 years. I just had teams, so I just manage from a management perspective. And here I have to be very hands-off and say like, okay, this is what we need. We don't have that. How do you have that? And then I remember, yeah, right. You are a seed startup, right? So this is what I'm doing here. And one thing that I never did until now is that I report directly to C-level, which you might think, but it's like a really big challenge. It's something that somebody should endorse you on LinkedIn, because it's not easy at all to make, C-level and founders understand this is not gonna work. We should not spend money here. So it's like a really difficult thing to do. And it's helping me a lot to know, like, if one day I'm a founder or I'm a CEO of my own company, I'm definitely, or at least I say it now, then I don't know, maybe I don't, but at least I'm seeing it from the other side. So, which I'm very grateful for, the opportunity. And what Morressier does, I'm going to take the opportunity to do a bit of marketing here. And what Morressier does is like a platform for science. So it's an open platform from researchers and authors to connect. So we provide with digital solutions to scientists and researchers to connect with each other and to have everything on one place, so that their research that they spend ages and years can be discovered, and it's not in their computers or in their notebooks. So that's what we do. All right, so I talk a bit about my experience, right, or like how I went through all of these like 8 years of like changing around and like kind of finding now more what I'm good at and where I want to go during like my next years of my career. And obviously that goes with a phase, right? So I had different phases. So, okay. So the first phase is always like the assessment and the denial, that you don't really know, like, okay, yeah, I've been dropped here and I don't really know if like this is something I'm good at. I don't have like anybody. I don't have anybody that actually tells me this is what you're good at. Doesn't give you like a lot of personal development or mentorship. So you have to figure it on your own if you're good at, by like picking up in some meetings or what people tells you this is what you're good at. So you have to do an exercise on your own of like, okay, I'm getting promoted for this specific, skill. So might be that I'm really good at that. Try to listen to feedback and reviews if you have it, because there is some startups that they don't have that. Usually now, I hope all startups have that, because that's very important, especially when you are so young and you don't know. Or for the ones that you are here and you are startup founders and you eventually will have a team, always think that your team is there to work for you and your product, but these people also want to be developed, right? And you have to invest time to develop these people further, or they're just gonna leave, and then you're just gonna spend a lot of money on nothing. So take the time to assess you or your team and know what they are good at and exploit these skills, because usually what they are good at the end, they're gonna actually like what they're good at eventually. The second one is like investigation. So hopefully if you have performance reviews or like what your friends tell you or your family or like people in your network tell you, hey, you are good, really good at like people, or you are really good at like data, or you are really good at like growth. Okay, so, or marketing, or you are very creative, just exploit that. Investigate why you are good at that and like try to actually like work on that every time you can. Go to meetups, meet with people, try to find people on LinkedIn that can give you more skills, like read books, I don't know, do whatever it takes to actually become better at what you are good already. Because if you master one skill, what you are good at is the key to success. Because you are good at one thing and then you exploit it, and then it's something that will define you. The development, as I said, once you discover what you are good at and why you are actually good at, and you are starting to be comfortable with that skill, start to gather pieces and like things around you. So if it's like meetups where you go every Tuesday where you can actually share the skills with the people, start building your network around that, and try to be confident about, because that's what eventually will define your personal brand and will make you choose a job or a career path in the future. Commitment. It's true that we all, maybe one day we wake up and we say like, yeah, I don't really like what I'm doing and I just want to quit and do something else, right? So you need to be really committed at what you do. If not, you are just going to bump around. And I said from my own experience too, I was not sure if I wanted to do that or if I was even good at, because I never had a mentor, or like I lacked a mentor, so I was never like, yeah, I'm not sure if I should be doing that. But you have to commit to yourself to what you're doing and go for it, or you're just eventually going to waste a lot of time bumping from place to another, or like bumping from like, yeah, a bit of here, a bit of there. So it's always try to keep like a niche. And then the mastery, right? So once you discover all of that, there's people that they are very smart and they discover it when they are 22, good for them. I hope I was like that, but I didn't. Then you have the key to success, and what you can do is like just become better and better and better and better and better and better and better, and you will be eventually the expert, right? So, all right, so after this, how to take control of your own growth in a startup. As I said before, being in a startup is quite hectic and very demanding and very frustrating and hurts sometimes, because people are stressed and people need something tomorrow and you cannot deliver it and you get frustrated, right? So you have to be very aware of like how to take control of your career during these type of environments. So some of my tips, as I said, this is my personal tips that help me. I'm not a coach or anything. I recommend you to get a coach if you need some advice, because I'm not. So come with side new projects, right? So learn and grow every day. Try to evaluate yourself and say to your manager and say, hey, these are my tasks. I'm very bored and I don't think like I'm really learning about that. I thought on this side project. When I had a team at Wayfair, I had a really young team. So they were around 22, maximum they were 25 or 26. And they were very young, so they had big aspirations, and in the university they told them that they would be like directors of big corporations at 28. No, obviously. And for me, it was like, if you want to grow and you want to get promoted, especially in a corporation that like you have this performance review, and every year to get promoted they give you a 2% of increase. So it's like, how long I need to be here to reach a 10% increase? It's like this. So that's why I always tell people, go to startup, you'll get more money and you'll get promoted faster, because in corporations everything takes longer. You always will get if you don't come from one of these top niche universities, you're gonna get an average manager role and that's it. And then to get into a director position, which a lot of corporations, if you don't come from specific universities, you're never gonna get, you're gonna get to a senior manager until you're 40. In a startup or a small company, it's easier to get into the director position. Well, anyway, identify your best skills, master the art of multitasking, right? So for the ones that you already work in a startup, you know that like multitasking is something that you need to master. I don't like multitasking, but it's necessary, because you sometimes have 3 projects that need to be delivered by yesterday, And your boss is not gonna be happy if you tell them, I had an event today, so this presentation is gonna take a bit longer. It's not gonna happen, right? So you need to actually have 2 screens and say, oh, I'm gonna start doing this and do that. I don't recommend it. I think it's really bad for focusing and delivering high quality, but if sometimes it helps to like be really comfortable with multitasking. Be flexible, so as you know as well in startups, flexibility is key, so sometimes you do this job and sometimes you will do the other, and you have to be open for it, because at the end it's all about growth and it's all about the startup scaling. So if you are flexible, also your managers will be like, oh, this person is flexible, has an entrepreneurial mind because takes initiative, so that's where like if you're a person that they need to tell you exactly what to do, especially like seed startup, I don't think it's gonna work. Make sure you are vocal inside the company. So if you are actually working very hard and you think you deserve a promotion and you want to learn more, just tell to your manager, even though the person doesn't care, tell it. If you don't have an HR manager, just tell him, like, it's their responsibility actually to care for you. At the end, you are making them rich. So if the company goes good, obviously, but you are working for them, so they are, be vocal and like, just tell them what you want. Be ready to do for people jobs. So as I said, multitasking, but also the amount of work that you have is not the same that you have in a normal corporation. Data is your best friend, or at least it was for me, to always like prove that I was right in some decision I made, or in some process of change, or when I wanted a promotion, or I wanted a raise, so I always like present data. And I talk a lot, so I try to like not talk so much and just send the numbers so that it's more straightforward. And then be effective and precise, right? So I think you need to be very effective if you want to help the company grow. So cut the bullshit and go to actually work in the projects that they really matter and focus, okay, if you have KPIs, you should, or OKRs, you should, you know where are your goals, right? So you know, okay, this is my end goal, so maybe these 3 projects are gonna help me reaching that. No, then you should put them aside, no matter what. And usually in really small startups, you don't have so many stakeholders that they come, where is this? I ask you, so you can cut it pretty good. And then something that I really, I'm not really good, I'm better now at it, is like how to be mentally sane in a hyper-growth environment, right? So consider every day a challenge, have a lot of patience, and challenge yourself every day. Just think that like what you are learning in that tiny startup, even you are a founder, or the people that have teams, and what you actually are learning from one of these startups, you're never gonna learn in a corporation. It's like a free university, and like take advantage of every single possibility you have there. If you are really wanna learn into investment, go and say like, hey, can you tell me more about our last round of investment? How much we have to survive? So learn about whatever you want, but take advantage. Since the teams are so small, you can learn about every single stakeholder of the company, so take advantage every day. Second, find a mentor. So for me, it was also very important to have references and have people that like guided me a bit on like what I was good at and what I should do. And I think this is key to be mentally sane and say, okay, there has been other people that went through and will help me develop my career, because I look up to these people and I want to become that, or I just want to have their career, right? So we always look up onto what others did. So find a mentor wherever. It can be a friend, can be somebody that maybe, I mean, a business person that is not really approachable, but like can be somebody that you read books for, or can be a coach, right? So career coaches are really good. Can be anything that you consider that will help you stay focused and sane when you don't know really if you are doing, what you are doing makes any impact. Surround yourself also with goal-oriented and positive people, and stay away from all these toxic employees and startup politics, because from my experience, it's not gonna get you anywhere. So try to just be focused, be goal-oriented, and like just listen to like what people, like with possible people or people that they are achieving things tell you, because if you started this like negative of like, they don't know what they are doing, oh my God, they don't know what they are doing, you're not gonna get anywhere. Then don't let others take control of your career. So just, again, be very goal-oriented of what you want and like be very strong about it. Remember that the impact you are doing in a startup is not something that you will have anywhere else, and the experience you'll get into 8 or like 5 years is gonna be really, really, really strong. And then the 3, last, fall in love with the team and the mission. I think that's very important to keep you sane as well, to like continue to go to work every day when things are not going that strong, or when like money is an issue and like founders are a bit more stressful. Believe in the product and be confident. I think you have to be also very confident because they give you tasks that maybe you are not capable to do so, but you have to be confident you will be able to do that, right? So for me as well, where it helped is like read a lot during those 8 years. So because as I said, I didn't come from like this background that you should come to work in this type of environment. So at the end, a good book can be university, and like Google is your best friend as well. So if you don't know how to do a formula in Excel and they ask you to do this report, just Google it. Everything is in Google. And then I put you some recommendations there that can help you. Just take photos. Through your career or through your startup experience. Whether these books are like whether you are a founder and you are trying to build a team, right? So how to actually keep yourself sane with these people around you and keep your team sane. And also if you are inside as an employee, how to actually be focused and like be productive. And then grow or go home, because at the end, nobody works in a startup if they don't wanna grow really, really big. If not, you're just gonna go and work for like Siemens or Telecom or something like this. Cool. Sorry if somebody works at Siemens.
Thank you so much. Who has questions? There we go.
I hope I can answer.
Hi, thank you for that. My name is Chris Taylor. I'm head of product at a predictive data automation company. And you said originally that you started with a creative background. And I'm just wondering where you feel innovation fits in personal development and growth.
So in my personal experience, I try to be creative where I can, right? So like my job, to be honest, is not very creative. It's pretty numbers driven, sadly. But there is also a side, like I like to also create processes, right? So I do also a lot of project management and process management. So I try to be creative there, and I try to be like in touch with product and in touch with other departments that can bring me innovation. So my mind is not only so that I don't become a robot, so that I like keep, sorry again if somebody does that, so that I can like keep my mind and like be thinking all the time. This is where it helps. I mean, not every day is easy, but this is what I do. I also watch a lot of movies, read, so keeps. I mean, it's obviously difficult sometimes, but I try to find a balance as well at work. Did I answer your question?
No, we can talk after.
All right. Sorry. Yeah.
So in the beginning you said find something that you're good at and then just double down on it and master it, right? There's this other school of thought that is basically advertising for a more broader approach, that you kind of try to also maximize the things that you're good at, right? And not master one thing, but be good at a lot of things because you will need it in a startup environment. From your experience, what do you think? Why is one approach better than the other?
I mean,
and which one is better?
From my personal opinion, yeah, in a startup, obviously they want people that have several skills, so they mean that they have to hire one person instead of 5, right? But that also doesn't make you really, really good. So it's like you grasp a bit of everything, and then you're like, okay, I have these 5 skills, but you are not perfect at any of them. This is what they also taught me in the beginning when I joined Delivery Hero. So they teach me several things so they could use me for 5 different jobs. And then I realized that I was very good at one thing, right? And that like actually people were coming to me, management people, and asked me about that. And I was like, okay, I didn't particularly like it, but I was like, all right, yeah. So I kind of become the expert on that. And that made me irreplaceable at that stage because everybody knew that like I created all the processes. So it was in Salesforce particularly, like so like putting all the sales processes from the sales guys into Salesforce, so talking between the sales team and the operational side, and that was like a really complex job. So the guys from Salesforce, the developers, only wanted to talk to me because they were like, just Carla can, so at the end, I became pretty replaceable in that specific role, right? That's why like I decided to like really master that skill, and I didn't went into being a really expert in Salesforce and admin. I just like was very good at like doing this type of talking with sales. I know what you need, and I know also the business side, but I also understand the tech requirements, right? So kind of doing this, and this is what I did, and it did work out for me. I do also agree that like you need to be good at other stuff. That's why you go through different stages on your career, and I didn't know I was gonna good at managing teams until I got a really big team. So until they gave me 4 people, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's see if you can manage. And then I realized that I was also good at that, right? So it's not only one skill. The one I mastered myself, and I really put a lot of effort into being good and like researching and learning every day about how to be better, was that. But then others came by coincidence. So obviously, like I have 2 or 3 that I'm like, I know I'm good at, and I know I'm valuable at, but yeah, it depends on like the stage you are. I think in the beginning, being good at is impossible because you're still not really experienced, but I think you need to find yourself and also what you enjoy, right? So for example, I didn't want to go into BI because I really didn't want to be all day looking at numbers. So I knew that that was like, even if I'm good at, I just don't want that for my life. So it's kind of a balance of like what you actually enjoy a bit and you are good at, so kind of balance it.
I have a question for you about when you put down your career life, the startup part. How do you consider important to build a team in the startup phase? I mean, you are it's something that you are doing as soon as possible, or for your experience, it's even better to make the process and the team come in the meanwhile? Which approach you are mostly keen on them?
Well, it definitely depends on which team, right? And depends on what your startup is on. So obviously, if you need to do sales because you need to grow, because you need people to buy your product, then obviously, even if you don't want to, you'll have to consider hiring more sales agents so they bring more revenue into the company. But I think you have to be very, very, very careful on that, right? I saw also teams. When I started Delivery Hero, they had a team of like, Lieferheld had a team of 10 people, and then Hungry House had a team of 5. In 2 weeks, we increased 10 and 10, and then in 2 months, one day I remember I walked into the office, and there were like 15 new startups, and I was like, what? So it went insane. So when I left, it was like more than 100 people on the sales team. Nobody talked to each other. Everybody hated each other. People were stealing deals because they just hired like, oh yeah, come, whatever. You want to come to Berlin, come. So they didn't really make cultural fit or like that the team was. So you need to be very careful and make sure that also the team fits into each other. So if you have already one person on the team and this person already delivers to you, you have to make sure that that person will get along with the people you hire. So there is not a right moment, obviously. It depends on like your demands and your KPIs. And yeah, where do you want to spend the money on? And if you want more senior or more junior people.
Okay, wonderful. Cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the questions.
Que la famille.